Hey everybody, sorry I'm late this evening. Apologize for being tardy. Feel like I've been hit by a truck. Um, I don't know if it's flu or just a real fast dopamine drop, but I'm medicated according to my normal protocol for feeling like this, and let's all just keep our fingers crossed that it works. And again, thank you for your support during Parkinson's Month. I am excited. If I head to campus tomorrow, which I'm going to try to ruck up, move out, my chucks will be there. You know, a lot of you that know me know that I love to wear my chucks. I have my red ones for Christmas holidays, and soon to have green ones for Thanksgiving, and everything has a purpose as far as my chucks are concerned. So I'll be wearing purple tomorrow after they're delivered, and I'll be wearing them every day. Um, During the month of April, which is Parkinson's month. I'll make that the show and tell item for tomorrow, along with a couple other things. I received a couple emails from some friends offering their support and what they could do. I asked that if you want to make a donation to the Parkinson's Foundation, and there are many, uh, then please do it in the name of a loved one, a family member, friend, or um, in donated to the research. So the Parkinson Foundations can support the research and development on Parkinson medications and help us and all future Parkinson's patients with medications that would help relieve and the symptoms because they really never quit. They just progress on, but slowing down the progression. Tonight I'm experiencing some dyskinesia, so if you see my hands flail or my hands move up in my face, like they're kind of doing now, I'm kind of demonstrating, but I've been doing this for about 2 hours. It's called dyskinesia, and we call it playing the piano because your hands get out in front when you talk. And when you talk, sometimes your hands move more than the normal person uses their hand in discussion. Now, my college roommate and dear friend, a man that I admire and love. As family, my college roommate, Bob Bott, he would claim that I'm Italian, so I have to use my hands to maintain my Italian membership. Um, right now, as you can see, my hands moving. I'm not demonstrating. It's just part of what goes on. Hello to Jim Sherman. What's up, troop? Uh, Jim was in the 10th Mountain, served in the Army, is a legend in Shelby High School, everything baseball, football. He and his brother Bob are the statisticians for the sports program, and without those guys, a lot of our young athletes would not be going to college on scholarship because they provide uh, incredible statistics that help support folks making the bid to move up into college football and baseball and other sports. Sorry I stole your comment, Bob, but after living with you for a couple of years, I kind of know how you think. Congratulations to Bob. He's been working really hard to regain his physical prowess, is what he calls his play in shape, and make himself healthier as he moves towards that 60th birthday. I want to talk a little bit about how Parkies have extreme difficulty in their different stages of fighting disease. Not the disease, but I want to talk about common colds and flu and um, just the ups and downs of working too many hours. As you know, it's a central nervous disorder caused by the interruption um, of proper use of dopamine production and proper use. You go into lulls because there's not enough dopamine to do your job. Excuse me. That is rude, but I can't stop it. So we just have to. I'll get used to the Parky's yawn. We do yawn a lot, and especially those of us that have speech issues. Lori, if you're on tonight, I'm going to have to work on that. And if you have any helpful hints, just shoot me an email or a text because that's gotten a little bit more predominant. Hey, Paul, I think we need to go to the gun show shortly. What do I do? Do I save money? Do I buy a gun? Appreciate that text, my brother. The thing that I'd like for you to understand about parkies is specifically those that are like in stage 2, 5, 2.5, or 2.0 out of a 5, um, out of a 5 scale, which is a Canadian scale, is it starts to cause dysfunction in the autoimmune and in the system that fights just your general illnesses like the common cold, flu. Excuse me. It also kicks in your yawning mechanism. Um, I think the biggest thing that I have encountered in talking to some of my friends when they have a cold or flu or uh, just work a little bit too much or have a lot of stress in their lives, the pain that we feel becomes exacerbated. Most Parkinson folks have exacerbation of pain or localized pain or episodic pain, usually between their shoulder blades and in their shoulders and in their hands. They also encounter swelling throughout the day because of the medications. But as you stiffen up at night, if you have an illness or not feeling well, then the pain is exacerbated. I have some friends that uh, take medications for discomfort and pain, but I have to admit something that my family has a history of alcoholism, which I am not ashamed of. It's in our DNA. There's nothing we can do about it as far as being our DNA, other than hopefully lifestyle change over a series of generations would stop that. So what happens is I feel strongly in my situation that if I were to take medications like low-grade opioids or something like that, that I could develop a dependency. So therefore, I just avoid it. Not to be a hero, but I take enough pills all day long anyway. Why add another one? And why add a potential problem? In addition to that, uh, the medications, when you're sick or you don't feel good as far as the flu or a cold, sometimes the medications don't work to their fullest. So then you develop the off time, like I talked last night. And the off time seems to be longer because the medications aren't working, and then your body's compromised from flu or a cold. And what happens is that the process is just a revolving, ugly process. I'm sorry, I heard a car alarm go off, and I thought it was mine, but it's not. So I'll get back on task. Um, Ron Schaefer Green Goods, good to see you on tonight. Hope Ricky's doing well. Ricky Green, incredible man, United States Marine, excellent coach, school administrator, married a wonderful lady, Rhonda Schaefer, who is a friend of mine through professional contacts, and always enjoy seeing Rhonda out and about when we run into each other. Getting back to the matter at hand. So what I'm experiencing right now, like I said, I feel like I've been hit by a truck. Hey, Coach Scruggs, incredible wrestling coach, good Christian man, has reached out to young children and raises many children. Uh, and I'm so proud to say he's my friend and that he's been an inspiration in my life. Thanks a lot, Coach. Thanks for coming on tonight. I feel like I've been hit by a truck. And what I feel is that an accentuated stiffness in all of my upper extremity joints, especially in my hands. My neck is really stiff. And I must admit that I'm having some issues trying to get my thought processes rolling. Another thing is that my dyskinesia is accentuated, but I'm honest with you, I'm sitting on my hands. So you don't watch me play the piano all night long. Um, and I've gone ahead and done my 10 o'clock meds, and hopefully that'll help out because then I have to take another set at 2 in the morning, and which is just dopamine and levodopa. I'll talk about those tomorrow as part of show and tell. And these medications are supposed to elevate the um, dopamine level, kind of set you at a normal level. But when you are ill, it just doesn't work. So you just kind of gut it through, and hopefully by tomorrow morning, I'll feel all right, which I'm sure I will, because good Lord's going to take care of me. Um, always does, even though I've gotten this. There's got to be a reason, and I'll talk about the reasons later on. My show and tell item tonight. By the way, Moose is sleeping, but he sends his regards. Is Moose's service dog vest, and I want to talk about service dogs for a minute because it's I have a bone of contention with that. As you know, you can step onto the internet and spend different amounts of money. Excuse me. And buy a service dog vest, buy a service dog ID card, and inclusive of that are these little ADA cards, and I'll show that tomorrow if I can remember, that advise people of your rights to possess a service dog or have a service dog. Most states in our great country, in our great land, do not have a service dog laws, other than if you harm a service dog, it's a felony. If you harm a service dog and the handler's felony times two. And when you have a service dog and you're the handler, the love you have for that dog I'll talk about that later. Um, this is Moose's vest, and this was given to me by a friend who I have known a long time. About 30 years we served together, and he's just an incredible guy. As you can see, it says that Moose is a service dog in training. This is a shorter vest. I usually would have him wear a long vest. It identifies his name. It says he's a mobility assistance dog. And then if I'm injured in an automobile accident or fall unconscious or anything, that he cannot be separated from me. And it also identifies to those who may try to help me or encounter me that I am hearing impaired, and that kind of promotes the idea. Would you please talk louder? As you can see, I wear Tim Burkeen's badge number 763, or fallen officer, and I'll always display that as long as I'm walking and talking with Moose. These vests also have multiple. These are tactical vests. I have multiple attach points for leashes and tie downs. On this side here, this is a tie down traditionally used in the military. I'm still not a good camera person. That would tie the dog down to a helo latch inside of a Black Hawk or a Huey or a Chinook, whatever helicopter that the Spec Ops guys are in at that time. I use this if Moose has his seatbelt on. I attach him to this, or I'll attach to the upper part, and I have this kind of leave it under. This is a drag handle. I use this during the day. It's up, or sometimes I'll put it down. That way I can grab it like this, and he can help me up. At night, if I'm not doing well, he'll wear this to bed. And if I need him or I call him and tell him to stand, he'll stand up. And if I tell him brace, I place my hands on his shoulders, his foreshoulders, and then he'll stabilize me and I'll move up. So as you can see, this vest does meet North Carolina's requirements as far as what's North Carolina Department of Vocational Rehabilitation Services. Now that Moose has reached a certain level of training, those papers will be submitted after I get Howard's signature on that he feels that he's met some competency to move forward. I have a problem with the service dogs that are not controlled by their handlers. They usually have just a generalized vest. The dog does. It's usually a smaller dog. And I know I'm going to start some controversy here about as far as emotional support dogs. You know, if you have an emotional support dog, go ahead and visit with your local psychologist or physician that's skilled in PTSD or other psychological disorders and be appropriately classified to receive the necessary accommodations that you're entitled to by being a disabled citizen. Thanks for coming on board, Andrea. Andrea, I just appreciate what you do at the Rock as far as accommodations that you've helped me with and our students that need your expertise. Ricky Tag, brother, it has been, 45 years? High school friend. Ricky was, I can only speak to was, Ricky is an incredible guy. Boy, you talking about having me laughing in class. It was worth going to the office, though, Rick, to see Mr. Skinner watching you cut up. But anyway, I'm glad that you're on board, and I'd love to see you again. Last thing about the service dogs is I ramble, and I apologize. I just can't control that, so bear with me right now. Is that they traditionally don't have a structured leash that's 4 to 6 feet long. They have the leashes that are the push button type that allows the animal to come out, and then they can reel them back in like a fishing rod. You have to be able to control your animal, your dog, your service dog at all times, because it's your responsibility as a handler to protect him. And at the same time, it's the dog's responsibility to protect his handler. If he encounters somebody that seems to have a bad feeling to the dog can alert. Moose grumbles, which is kind of between a bark and a growl, if he feels like somebody has a bad vibe. He's rarely done that, but he also just lets people know he's there as well. So maybe I have to work on that in training. But Moose has only encountered problems with other dogs in local establishments when the handler did not have control of the dog. They were on a retractable leash, had one of those nice little cute service dog vests, and they were about the size of a little teeny Jack Russell. I've only had one full-size dog encounter Moose, and the owner had a chain collar, and I mean a chain, like what you would buy at Lowe's, and then fashioned it into a collar somehow, and then had a rope lead, and that's how he's controlling his dog. So I question those that have these type of service dogs that you can tell immediately they're not disciplined, They don't follow the commands of their handler. They constantly tug on the leash. They don't. They're not under control. And I feel like if a service dog is not under control, then they pose a hazard to the citizenry. When we're trying to get support, we don't want to bring an animal into an environment that can create a safety issue for other patrons. To move on before I close out, I always try to keep it between 20 and 25 minutes. I'm gonna go back to my dog, Moose. He's a part of our family, as most animal owners, I hope, feel. And because of his history, he has been a resilient dog. But the feelings I have for my dog are that I depend on him every day to get me through the day with normal life habits, ADL safety, coming out of the shower, being able to brace if I have to because he's right there. If I turn too quickly and start to stumble, he presses up against me or he knows to get in position. And I didn't teach him that. He picked that up on his own. So I didn't want to have Howard and I work with him on that because if he's doing that on his own, why should I mess him up? You know, like Mr. Ariel, my mentor once said, if the guy's hitting 300, the only person needs to talk baseball hitting skills is Ted Williams and Pete Rose. Well, I'm not a Ted Williams or a Pete Rose when it comes to dogs. So if Howard tells me to do it, I do it. And if he tells me not to do it, it's a dropped item. Another thing about Moose is that I admire his discipline, his willingness to help me and other students. He's become somewhat of an icon on Limestone's campus. A lot of students come to Moose and spend time with him, and after they get acquainted, I do allow a student to pet Moose. Moose is under my control when he does that. And I think it's good for our students that are away from moms and dads that they're able to have something to tie into because many of my students have dogs at home and miss their animals. And so I'll probably break in the ultimate service dog rules about no petting, but after the student and the dog have established a relationship, then I think it makes him a better dog because he doesn't react when he's in tight spaces in society. Last thing about Moose tonight is that service dogs, as you know, all other animals, and I'm speaking generally, the dogs I've had have always been able to pick up when you're not doing well physically or emotionally, which does lend credence to most, excuse me, emotional support dogs. But anyway, I'll drop that subject. Uh, Moose has been by my side all day. He's almost attached, and that's the pack instinct. But he will not allow me to get up and walk away from him for more than 10 feet, and he's right there, even if he's laying down. A couple times today he was sleeping, and I got up and just moved around my office, and boy, he was right there. So I knew something was up, but I just couldn't put my fingers on it. And Moose is very important to my family. My wife, Marianne, and Moose are very close. She gets great enjoyment about fixing his lunch and fixing his morning meal and his evening meal. Excuse me. He he goes to her for it and tells her he's ready to eat, and it's nice to watch. And if you first met Moose the day we got him, when he came into North Carolina, you'd have had some doubts, but because of his desire to work and be part of something great, he's really come a long way. If you have any questions, I'll stay on just a couple more minutes. I'll try to answer them without rambling. Again, thank you to everybody who has been watching over the past couple of days. I believe we're in day 4. And then tomorrow's Purple Chucks Day for Jim. I can't wait to get those chucks on my feet, and there'll be a hot feature tomorrow night. Another thing that I'd like to say is, like I mentioned with clothes, here's a clothing hack that I picked up off the internet. Buttoning your shirts. You can use a paper clip to do the same. It has to be a smaller paper loop, or you can get one of those needle feeders, thread feeders for larger needles, like they would use in the textile industry. You can buy them at a hardware or something, and that will help you get your button done. Belt, you're on your own and get some help. I'm a big Cobra buckle person. This is a Cobra buckle. And as you can see, you just pinch. I think I've already done that, but if I did end up being redundant, I apologize. And as you can see, with visual discrimination issues, looking in reverse, and that's what you do. But it's really nice. It's good and solid. They're rated to 1,500 pounds at this size. You can get them up to 35 to 4,500 pounds. If you got a dog that big, you probably don't need to be a service dog as a Parkinson's patient. Quiz question for tonight is, do you put this on your head to do your hair? Or do you put this on your head? And the answer is, that's right, the tea tree firm hold gel. You notice I said that better tonight. I've been working on it. Of course, this is Shave Buona, and this is great stuff here. As you advance, though, in Parkinson's, it gets harder to squeeze this. Maybe they need to do a pump action. All righty, folks. Thanks for tolerating my rambling tonight and my loss of fluid thought. I hope to be at the Rock tomorrow. And because I tell you, being there is just incredible. I'm living a dream, man. Go back to where I started from. Anyway, love you. You have a good day tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. Remember where you live, the greatest country in the world. God bless America. God bless the 82nd Airborne. And God bless all of you. Take care. Bye.